We are in the writings of Rabbi Yosef Kapach, introduction of the Mishneh Torah, not the Rambam's introduction of the Mishneh Torah, but rather the introduction of Rabbi Yosef Kapach to the Mishneh Torah. So the page is going to look like this. It's going to be the first page. It doesn't even have a Hebrew number on it. And he writes the following words. We once read this together in Kollel, so if it sounds familiar to you, it's because we read it a few months back. Baruch Adonai Elohai v'Elohei Avotai. Blessed is Hashem, the God of my fathers, my God and the God of my fathers. Asher hinchani b'derech emet, who guided me on the path of truth, me'odi ad hayom hazeh, from time immemorial until today. Mishachar anumi gadalti v'chunachti lehov u'la'arich et toratan shel shnei sarei Yisrael. From my earliest dawn, I can recall that I was educated, I was raised to respect, to love, to cherish the Torah of two of the princes of Israel. Torah Rabbi Sa'adya Gaon b'parshanut hamikra v'reshit hamachshava. The teachings of Rabbi Sa'adya Gaon in his commentaries of the written law of the Torah and in the early philosophies of the Jewish people. V'torato shel Rabbeinu Moshe ben Maimon b'havanat Gemara, and in the teachings of Rabbeinu Moshe ben Maimon, the Rambam, in understanding the Talmud, b'halacha l'maaseh, in practical halacha, uvehemshech yisodot haTorah, and in the continuation of understanding the beliefs of the Torah. So who are the two foundations in Rabbi Yosef Kapach's life? Rabbi Sa'adya Gaon and the Rambam. Now we know the Rambam, but we're going to get to what Rav Sa'adya Gaon's role here is very soon. Hishtadanu b'chol ma'odenu. We tried with everything that we had. Levilti sur mehorotav b'halacha l'maaseh yamin u'shmol. We did whatever we could not to deviate from his teachings in halacha, not right and not left. Kasher lamanu mishnah k'mitzvat chazal ben Esther lemishnah. When in Yemen we began studying Mishnah, like our rabbis commanded, at the age of 10 you must start studying Mishnah. At the age of 10. At what age do you start studying Tanakh? At age 5. So by the time you reach the age of 10, you should be finished the Tanakh. Yes? למדנוה בצמידות לפירוש רבינו הרמב"ם במקורו בערבית. When we studied Mishnah, we studied always together with the Arabic commentary on the Mishnah by the Rambam. אשר זו הייתה לנו לשפת אם נוספת. It was our other mother tongue, meaning Arabic was a tongue that we knew, just like Hebrew. אם כי שפת השוק והמטבח שונה לו במעט מלשונו ניבו והגיגו של רבנו. Said even though the street Arabic and the kitchen Arabic, like the Arabic that's spoken, is not as eloquent and professional as the Rambam's, you can imagine the difference between spoken English and Shakespeare. Yeah, this is the style. אך העיסוק המתמיד באמריו ודיברותיו של רבנו עשו לנו לשון פירושו כבת זוג לעברית ולשפה הערבית המדוברת. But because we studied so much his writings, it became another language to us. So we had our Hebrew, our spoken Arabic, and then the written Arabic, particularly of the Rambam. והחוט המשולש לא במהרה ינתק. And that three, it's a teaching, the three fold, when you have a string, you have plies, that's what it's called. A one ply, two, maybe when you buy a rope, you can have a one rope, it could be two ropes tied together, three. There's a word for that in English. 3-ply rope. 3 twine. There's a word for it. Yeah. So when you buy such a rope that has 3, our rabbis say it's not so quick to become disconnected. Meaning these 3, they held us together in understanding the Torah. כאשר הגענו לתלמוד, and we reached the age of studying Talmud, כצוואת חז"ל, like our rabbis again commanded, בין 15 לתלמוד, at the age of 15 you start studying Talmud. So that means that you have another 5 years to finish the whole Mishnah. וכפי פירושו, לפירוש רב סעדיה גאון, שרוב העיסוק יהיה רק בתלמוד, and because Rav Sa'adya Gaon writes in Mishneh that most of a person's study should be in the Talmud. הרי כאשר למדנו גמרא, when we studied גמרא, לא זזו מידינו דברי רבנו בהלכה, we didn't ever leave the words of רבנו the Rambam, not in הלכה, ובפירושו למשנה, not his commentary in the Mishnah, כדי לדעת, ללמוד ולהבין את מהלכיו של רבנו הגדול בהבנת הגמרא, and we used these books to help us understand, because the Rambam didn't write an explicit commentary in the Gemara. So we used his other writings to help us understand what did the Rambam understand in the Gemara. If you know the Rambam's conclusion, the Gemara has two opinions, and the Rambam rules like one of them, then you're able to begin to piece together how it is the Rambam got to that opinion. You read the Rambam's writings on the Mishnah and how he thought through the Mishnah, you could then trace a line from the Mishnah to the Halakha, and even though he skips over the step of the Talmud, you can fill in the empty pieces of the puzzle. How did the Rambam get from what he wrote in his commentary on the Mishnah and what he actually ruled the Halakha in his great work? There's nothing else like it until today. Before the Rambam's Mishneh Torah, there was no other work like that. And from then until today, there's no other book like that. B'siduro, in its order, b'lshono, in its language, b'diuko, in its preciseness, b'hekefo, in its all-encompassingness, b'chlilut shlemuto, in its wholesomeness. The Rambam's Mishneh Torah has a book that no one else has ever written one like it. Somebody once asked me here, not in this class, why is it that you're so stuck on the Rambam? Why not another? There are other great rabbis in the world. That's right, you're correct. There are other great rabbis in the world. Who says the Rambam is always right? Nobody said. But listen carefully. There's no one else aside from the Rambam. No one else. Not one Chacham in the history of the Jewish people, not one, who wrote a book that covered all of Jewish law from A to Z. Maran wrote a Shulchan Aruch only on the relevant areas of halakha that were for Jews in exile. Not on the laws of the Beit Mikdash, not on the laws of judges, not on the laws of Korbanot, not on the laws of Eretz Yisrael. The Maran doesn't talk about any of those things. Who else gave us a book of halakha that is set like a table? Who else knew halakha? It's one thing to know halakha well, but to know halakha so well that you could say, the Talmud that you study 1 page a day for 7.5 years, I'll write a summary of the whole Talmud without missing a point, without missing a topic. Not only am I going to summarize it for you, I'm going to rearrange it for you by order of topics. I'm going to write it clearly, so clearly that you can analyze every single word and find the proper halakha. There's a reason why the Rambam uses one word over another word. Simply nobody else ever did something. The Rambam, in the words of our Chachamim, is one who is a gamar v'savar. He studied it all. He knew it all. Even Maran writes about the Rambam that anywhere that he doesn't have an opinion, Maran doesn't say something, follow the Rambam. Many people complain about Maran. Maran is pretty much a copy of the Rambam. Yes, there are places where Maran disagrees. I'm not going to avoid that issue. Maybe we'll deal with it another day. But Maran says, where you don't know what to do like the Rambam. Where did that come into practical application for me? When I put Kehillat on my tzitzit. And you have to figure out, so how do you put Kehillat on the tzitzit? There are different opinions. That says in the Torah you should put a string of blue on the corner of your tzitzit. So, entertain me for a moment. You have a corner of your tzitzit, yes? Can I tell me something, please? Thank you. You have one corner, yes? On this corner, how many strings are there? There are 4 strings that end up becoming 8. Why? Because you loop them through and you have 8. How many, don't look at my notes, it's not the Rambam, yeah? How many strings are supposed to be blue? 1 of 4, which would mean 2 out of 8. 1 out of 8, which would mean half a string. When it says a kanaf petil techelet, there should be 1 string of blue on the corner of the tzitzit. Maran doesn't say. Why does Maran not say?
Different opinion.
Maran doesn't have Kehillat. Maran is writing a Shulchan Aruch for Jews who are in exile. There is no Kehillat for Maran. The Rambam is very clear. The Rambam says 1 out of 8. So that's why if you look on one side, you'll see 3 white and 1 blue. And you flip over the talit, and it's 4 white. Because halfway through, we stop dyeing the blue. This blue string ends up becoming white. Because when I don't know what Maran would want, Maran would say to follow the Rambam. That's all I need to know. Why so much respect to the Rambam? Because nobody else did it. Well, we hold like this, we don't hold like that, we hold like this rabbi, we hold like another rabbi. Who else could tell us everything like the Rambam? So you follow another rabbi in one place where he argues with the Rambam. Where else do you follow that rabbi? You don't even know what that rabbi believed anywhere else. The Rambam is the only one who wrote a book of halachot that is all-encompassing. So, we continue. ועניין רב אורו בנו רבותינו נוחי נפש בהצביעם לפנינו על חזרותיו של רבינו הגדול מהדורה כמה למדורה שנייה. He says, and our rabbis, נוחי נפש, those who are already past, already showed us the different editions of the Rambam. What he wrote in one edition, he changed in a different edition. ובפעמים אף לשלישית וגם לרביעית, sometimes 3 times or 4 times the Rambam changes his mind. כאשר כל זה ביארתי בהערותיי לפירוש המשנה, תרגומי מהדורתי וכבר הודיתי לא פעם, והנה מודה שוב. He says, and I thank Hashem many times, but I'm going to thank him again. ברוך שעשני בן לאבי ונכד לסבי. Blessed is Hashem who allowed me to be the son of my father and the grandson of my grandfather. אשר הנחוני בדרך הזו, who guided me on this path, דרך הש"ס והראשונים להעמקה, the way of the Shas, of the Talmud and the early rabbis in depth, דרך הגאונים לפרשות המקרא, in the way of the גאונים, in their understanding of the מקרא, ודרך רבינו להלכה, in the ways of רבינו הרמב"ם in הלכה. תורה ציווה לנו משה מורשה, the Torah of Moshe was commanded to us as an inheritance. מורשתנו היא מן העולם ועד העולם, our moreshet, our inheritances from this world to the next world. Ba saknu, within that inheritance we were involved. Ba oskim, that's what we are involved in currently. Ba na'asok kol yamei chayenu, and that's an inheritance that we will be involved in our entire life. U'ezrat Hashem, and with Hashem's help, anachnu uvanenu uvnei vanenu kimtzuveh alenu, us and our children's children has been commanded on us. Et asher horishanu Adonai Eloheinu otanu nirash. Whatever Hashem has allowed us to inherit, we will continue to inherit. I'm going to pause here. I really didn't need to go that far, but I didn't want to miss this. Baruch Sha'asani ben Lavi. This blessing of Rabbi Yosef Kapach. Blessed is Hashem who put me in this camp. Now we understand a little of the history of what was going on in Yemen, in the different camps of Chachamim, and where his father and grandfather fell out. He's speaking very clearly. Thank you, Hashem, for putting me in that Beit Midrash. He could have been somewhere else. You could have learned Torah from somewhere else. The first part, though, is what I wanted to focus on. And that is the importance of understanding Hebrew and Arabic to understand halakha properly. What I'm going to say now will rub some Jews in the room the wrong way. It's okay. You're allowed to be rubbed the wrong way. In the New Age pursuit of Judaism, a lot of real Judaism has been left behind and replaced with pseudo-Judaism that many people have been exposed to. The language of Arabic, which I'm not proficient in at all or familiar with much at all, is a sister language to Hebrew. Being that it's a sister language to Hebrew, it sheds a lot of light on how Hebrew is supposed to be, on how you understand certain words in Hebrew. Those Chachamim who didn't understand Hebrew well, and also didn't understand Arabic well, and used their Latin-based languages to understand the Torah, made tremendous mistakes when it came to understanding the Torah. Tremendous mistakes. Yeah. I have a nephew who told me that in his Chassidut, they make a shakol niyah b'dvoro on potatoes. How do you make a shakol niyah on potatoes? How do you say potato in Yiddish? A kartoffel. His rabbi thought a kartoffel and a truffle are the same thing.
Oh!
And ad etzem hayom hazeh, until this very day, there are thousands of Hasidim who make a shakol niyah b'dvoro on something that clearly grows on the ground. And you tell them, listen, guys, you made a mistake. It's okay, fine, don't care. No, he had Ruach HaKodesh, he knew what he was talking about, and you think I'm making fun? It's not funny. It's a very scary situation. Because forget that there's nothing in common, a potato and a mushroom. But more than that, to get confused in the brachot of the two of them. it's very scary. The way that certain things join the world of kitniot with an absolute ignorance, not just of science or agriculture, but of ignorance in language. Corn. How does corn become kitniot? Corn, which didn't exist in Europe. How does it become kitniot?
Just gonna make flour from it.
You can make flour from anything. Look in the gluten-free section in your store. You make flour from potatoes. I don't see anybody stop eating potatoes on Pesach. Yes. My father-in-law actually doesn't eat potato flour on Pesach. It's true. Don't push. And corn, how do you say corn in Yiddish?
I don't know.
How do you say flour in Yiddish?
Meal.
So something to do, I don't remember the history here, to do with the fact that cornmeal sounded like flour, and that automatically included it in the category of flour. It was forbidden. It's a new world flour. And then it became kitniot. How? Like that. Just like that. There are things that many of the Chachamim identified or claim to identify in the Torah that you knew very clearly a few things. Either they never saw these plants in their life, they never saw these animals in their life. There are Chachamim who believe that elephants were able to jump. What does it mean jump? Jump. All four legs off the ground, jump. It's okay. It's fine. You can believe it. You living in San Diego, had you not gone to the zoo, you also wouldn't know an elephant can't jump. An elephant can go up on its hind legs, but jump it can't. So what do you do with the early Chachamim who claim that elephants can jump because of that? There's different conversations surrounding elephants in Halakha. You just say, listen, it's okay. They lived in France. They never saw an elephant. It's fine. Nothing happened. No. Today there's wars. There were different kind of elephants. The nature of elephants changed. Unbelievable. The Pizbulim that happened around, he didn't see an elephant before. It's okay. Incorrectly identifying animals that live in Eretz Yisrael, animals that we know are not indigenous to the land of Israel, are identified in the English translation of your Chumash. This animal is one of the animals the Torah is talking about. How could the Torah be telling you that this animal lived in Eretz Yisrael when he didn't live in Eretz Yisrael? There is an animal that fits that definition in Arabic that lives still in Eretz Yisrael. We have a refusal. We can't use it. Chas v'shalom, our tradition from the Jews who never were in Eretz Yisrael is to believe that that's the animal that we're referring to. There are so many places where this is obvious that there are Chachamim. Look, now we're having olives here on the table. The arguments in Halakha that broke out when Chachamim say kezayit, the size of an olive, you eat an olive amount of food. How big is a zayit? Along comes a famous Chacham, I don't want to mention his name, I'm not ridiculing him, and does all kinds of scientific calculations. The olives of Eretz Yisrael and the olives of today, they're not the same size. The olives used to be bigger. Today you have these people that they have to eat 7 slices of pizza before they wash their hands. They have to eat a whole bag of cookies before they make an ahal michya afterwards. Because they think the olives, they were the eggs, ostrich eggs. I don't know, they were dinosaur eggs. I don't know what size egg they're thinking is here. An olive is an olive. The olive that grew in someone's backyard didn't change sizes. Oh, when my grandfather was alive, those olives are so much bigger. Same olives on the tree. It doesn't help that now we come back to Eretz Yisrael and we find old olives from the time of the second Beit HaMikdash. Underground, stuck in clay or wherever else we find them. And they're the same exact size as the olives you have on the table. So what happens then? So when all the Chachamim who wrote the size of the olive changed, which Chachamim am I talking about? Every single Chacham you know. Every one of them tells you how big of a matzah you have to eat on Pesach. The size of an olive. What's an olive? You want to get a big olive? This is a jumbo-sized olive. You want to eat that much matzah? Fine. 2 olives? 2 olives. 2 olives still doesn't make a whole matzah. Oh yeah, it depends how small. Jack is correct. That's why I did a small matzah. Yeah.
But it says kezayit kebetza.
Kezayit is one measurement. Kebetza is another measurement. This problem was so obvious to many Chachamim that whereas today, Arabic, it's a language, terrorists speak Arabic. This wasn't a new, you think you're inventing the wheel. Arabic is a language our Chachamim were very proficient in. It was very important for Chachamim to know. Our Chachamim viewed Arabic, Rabbi Yonatan Halevy writes, it's one of the most refined languages that we have. Arabic is like Hebrew. An unrefined language? Speak English. Think about how many words you have to use in English to say something that in Hebrew you can say in 3 words. When you translate one Chacham's commentary on the Chumash, you have to write 7 or 8 volumes in English to translate what this Chacham said in 1 sentence. Or any translation. I'm not the art scroll. By the way, you want to read it? Look at the translations. I read these translations. You think I understand anything in that translation? Sometimes I have to bring a dictionary to understand what they're writing in the English translation. You never saw this word before in your life. You come across the halakha, the laws of phylacteries.
Yeah.
Have you in your lifetime ever used the word phylactery? Except for reading about phylacteries inside of a book?
Is it a feeling?
Yeah, but how are you supposed to know that? Safa lo metukenet. It's a language that's not so clear. So, I want to read to you from a Chacham I've been quoting a lot recently because I'm reading a book about him. Rabbi Moshe Chazan has a book where he's writing a conversation between 2 Eastern rabbis, meaning Sephardic rabbis, and their counterpart, who's a merchant from the cultured European Jews. And he complains that these Sephardic Jews, it's so hard to listen to them because they sound like they're choking all the time when they speak. The hayat and ayn, it all sounds so guttural. So you can't even listen to them. And they're listening, and the Chachamim are telling them to talk, and he says, "You mean you're allergic to the sounds of our holy language, Hebrew? This is the sound you're allergic to, Lashon HaKodesh? That's the way Hebrew is pronounced." He said, "If you want to complain something about the Sfaradim, let me complain to you about the Sfaradim." So he writes, "Ki mi iten v'aya ואבותינו הקדמונים יושבי המזרח השתדלו ללמד את בני יהודה הלשון הזאת עד בוריה." You want to complain about the Sfaradim? Complain that our parents didn't teach us Arabic well enough. וצער לנו מאוד מאוד, and it causes us tremendous suffering. כי אין אנו יודעים בה קים לפטפט, because the only Arabic we know is conversational Arabic to chit-chat in. והלוואי ובאמת. How amazing would it be if we actually knew Arabic properly? Rabbi Yosef Kapach makes it his life's mission to translate Arabic works into Hebrew because he knows it's going to be the last generation of Talmidei Chachamim who speak Arabic. What's going to happen to all the writings of the Rambam in Arabic? What's going to happen to all the writings of Rav Sa'adya Gaon in Arabic? What's going to happen to all the writings that were translated from Arabic into Hebrew and were full of mistakes? Because the people who translated them didn't speak Arabic. What's going to happen then? Because somebody can't pick up. Who said it here on Shabbat? Someone said it here on Shabbat. You can't pick up the nuance of a language.
I read it to you from golden doves and silver doves.
Oh, very good. You can't pick up the nuance of a language unless you speak that language. You never see someone who speaks English. They've been in this country for many years. They know English well. But then you use some kind of expression. Go break a leg. You want me to break my leg? What kind of, are you cursing me now before my graduation? Go break a leg. And the truth is that they're right. Because go break a leg doesn't mean anything nice in English. Unless you understand it's an expression. The expression is meant to go do well. Why it means that, I don't know. I'm not an expert in English expressions. But for someone who knows English well, an English professor from another country still wouldn't know how to translate that correctly. And would translate literally, go break a leg in another language. And 100 years down the road, you're looking at the Rambam's writings. Why does he want us to break our legs? The manuscripts that we use, that were translated by people who Arabic, that wasn't their first language, wasn't a language they were fluent in, was full of problems. And that's precisely why Rabbi Sa'adya Gaon, he mentioned the commentary of Rabbi Sa'adya Gaon. It's one of the early works that Rabbi Yosef Kapach wrote. This is the Rav Sa'adya Gaon translation of the Torah that Rav Kapach wrote. And you read it and you wonder, who needs this book? Who needs this book? It's such a silly book. What do I mean it's such a silly book? It says, Rav Sa'adya Gaon's commentary on the Torah. And you read it, you could have written. Give me an example. Bereshit. What does the word Bereshit mean?
In the beginning.
In the beginning, yeah? What about all the commentaries that don't translate Bereshit as in the beginning? What is I telling you here? It's better not. Don't read the commentaries.
Some of them say the name of God.
Yeah. Bara, sheet. All kinds of interesting words. Rav Sa'adya Gaon writes, Barishona. Bereshit means in the beginning. Don't get confused. This is what it means. Va'aretz eta tohu vavohu. What is tohu? The world was chaos, we say, yeah? What does tohu mean? Really tohu.
To wonder.
Tohu is from the word tihom. Depths. The world was depths full of water. Uvavohu. So tohu is tihom mila'a mayim. And vohu is covered in water. Meaning, Rav Sa'adya Gaon is saying, this is what we heard from our rabbis, from Moshe Rabbeinu, what it means when you read the Torah. But it was written in Arabic. And Rav Sa'adya Gaon had to go through and retranslate the Torah from Arabic translation back into a Hebrew translation. And that's why he has extensive footnotes, which shows you why he used this Hebrew word for an Arabic word. And oftentimes you see the Hebrew word and the Arabic word are almost identical to each other.
Yosef Kapach translated.
Yosef Kapach. What did I say?
Rav Sa'adya Gaon translated.
Rav Sa'adya Gaon translated into Arabic. And Rav Kapach translated the Arabic back to the Hebrew. So now you have a Hebrew commentary on the Hebrew Chumash. But it's an unbelievable work. Today, Baruch Hashem, you can buy a Tanakh. There's a Tanakh called Torah Chaim. It has many commentaries of the Rishonim, put out by Musad Rav Kook. If I'm not mistaken, over there they have on the Chumash a running commentary of Rav Sa'adya Gaon on the Chumash. Rav Sa'adya Gaon, all that Rav Kapach translates, it's Rav Kapach's translation, put inside of the Chumash. These are important things. The moment that we abandon the languages that were closest to Hebrew is the moment that we didn't understand anymore the traditions that we were trying to convey. That's a mistake. It's a mistake in our heads, this hatred of anything that has to do with Arabs and Arabic. I'm not telling you that there's not justified cause in the world to be upset, to be fighting, to be hurt, and even maybe terrified. But it's a mistake. On a bigger picture level, it's a mistake. Because so much of our heritage, what do you mean our? I mean all of Am Yisrael. I'm not talking here about Sfaradim and Ashkenazim. So much of our heritage is intertwined with the language, with the culture, with the customs. But most importantly, because who cares about culture and customs? Our Torah. So much of our Torah is on the verge of being lost because we no longer speak the language of our Chachamim, who essentially translated many of their writings into those books, or wrote in those languages ideally. And therefore, it shouldn't surprise you that in Yemen, there were two commentaries that were most used on the Torah. The commentary of Onkelos and the commentary of Sa'adya Gaon. Onkelos wrote his commentary in which language?
Aramaic.
Aramaic. So who understands Aramaic? The Yemenite Jews. How you're Jewish? No, you have to speak Aramaic well. You have to know Aramaic well. How do you study most of the rabbinic literature if you don't know Aramaic? But in the olden days, you could tell a Talmid Chacham. How well does Talmid Chacham know Aramaic? If he doesn't know Aramaic well, you probably don't know if he's really a Talmid Chacham. And therefore you use Onkelos' translation of the Torah in tandem with Rav Sa'adya Gaon's Arabic translation of the Torah. These are two very early works translating the Torah. And then when you want to understand, so what does the Pasuk really mean? Instead of having to rely on commentaries, you can rely on translations. Translations that bring you to an earlier and more accurate understanding of what the Torah really meant. And then sometimes you'll sit at the Shabbat table, and you'll wonder, when someone says a Dvar Torah, how on earth could you say such a nonsensical Dvar Torah? Someone told me today something. Pesach and another word, but Pesach is with a chet, and this one is with a chaf, and he mixed it all together because they both go ch. They have a famous Dvar Torah. They say Parashat Balak is the acronym of V'avta l'reacha kamocha. But Balak is spelled Bet, Lamed, Kuf. V'avta l'reacha kamocha is Vav, Lamed, Chaf. But Am Haaretz would say Shut Dvar Torah. Now the story that they tell is made to make fun of the one who doesn't accept the Dvar Torah because he's such a heretic. He doesn't even believe the Dvar Torah. But the Dvar Torah is nonsensical. But so much of what we study sounds like Balak is the acronym of V'ahavta l're'echa kamocha because we don't even know the language that we're reading. It would be wise for the Jewish people, if we're not yet on a path to understand Arabic or Aramaic, to at the very least understand our own language, to understand Hebrew. To understand Hebrew so you won't have to rely on this. So they hear a parasha, they tell a word. This word in Hebrew means this, and it's similar to another word in Hebrew that means that. But it doesn't really make sense to anybody. I told Hanan today, Tachzik chazak, hold on strong. The word hold on and strong in Hebrew are the same root. When you become mitchazek, when you renew your energies, also chazak. When a Jew understands what does the word chazak mean, then all of the doors to your Hebrew open up. When you understand Hebrew in context, you don't have to speak Hebrew yet, but to understand the Hebrew that's in front of you, to open up the book, to write translations inside, that's going to pay back one day. You're not going to have to rely on someone else's translation when you read your own books. Because you want to be able to understand what Kadosh Baruch Hu told you. And that's precisely what the Rambam did for us. It's what Rabbi Yosef Kapach is trying to do for us as well. God willing, we'll continue the second half of the shiur tomorrow night.